So we get this all the time, and especially I do a lot of work with our Air Force, our pilots, and our airmen over there at Luke Air Force Base, and these guys and gals are always moving in from other states, and typically, the one spouse, this is the scenario. The one spouse is the pilot, the other one is at home doing all the homework and the research. And then I typically get introduced to the pilot and we have a conversation. And then I find out, oh, but my wife or my husband or my spouse has already found an agent. But we've all been in those
Been there. Yep.
situations. So, what do you do? How do you handle that? And that's what our 3-pack is on today.
Good one.
Yeah.
I like it.
So the first one is you can't immediately go to frustration. The moment that you wear defeat on your face, oh gosh, the spouse is already talking to an agent. I don't have a shot at this, and I wear that defeat. It shows it. They sense it. You could not show disappointment. And so for me, it's my mind. It's a mindset. My mindset automatically changes to, okay, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge, but there's still a huge opportunity here, and it's an opportunity to actually shine because competition sometimes makes us go above and beyond. It makes us really hone in our skills because you're going to have to bring your A game to the table.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it, Mike, because when you're looking at it from a perspective of bringing your A game or that challenge as it pops up, what it's really saying to you is it's giving you an opportunity to demonstrate further that because maybe the reason they think they want to use somebody else is because they said they discount their commission, right? I mean, that's obviously usually part of this equation at some particular point. But, and we never, to Nick's point on the book, never split the difference. If you haven't read that yet, Nick will get you the information. But the moment you show frustration, the moment that you try to rebuke that, is when you've lost the deal. So, or at least that client. So what you really want to do is dig deeper and show them more of why they should be hiring you versus the other agent.
Yeah, Nick, it's like I don't know. Did you play baseball?
I did.
Okay, so I played at a competitive level in my day about 50 pounds ago. Now I run a 32-40. It takes me a while to get down get down that line. But there's the difference of, hey, I'm going to go up to bat. It's the first inning. I'm the leadoff hitter. It's not a lot of stress, and I'm going to try to get a hit as opposed to it's the 8th inning and runners are on second and third, and it's like, what would you rather what would you rather have? For me, that competitive juice, I'll take the 8th inning all day long.
Yeah, I mean, your mindset is 100%. If you are comfortable and confident with your value that you bring to the table, no matter who you're working with, this is an opportunity for you to be able to show that value. And so when you go into this conversation, and any conversation, you should be prepared to get hit like this, because then your face doesn't respond when your mouth doesn't. But I mean, again, Todd said it, I would highly recommend reading Never Split the Difference. It's a perfect situation for that book. Yeah. But when you get that comment, that's fantastic. Of course, you both should be comfortable with the realtor that you choose to help you navigate one of the biggest decisions and financial journeys that you're going to have in your lives. So now the husband's going, oh, or the spouse that you're talking to is like, well, did they say this? What are they doing? What are they going to do to help us? So you're already adding that level of question while you're showing like, yeah, I'm very proud of you for doing your due diligence.
Would you rather have them tell you or not? Correct. So if you're prepared for them to tell you, then you're prepared when they don't.
Yep. All right. Todd, you ever read that book? I think it's called The 5 Levels of Communication by Michael Bayer.
Mayer.
Michael Mayer.
Yeah. No, not more than at least 20 times.
All right. So this is an element that I took directly from the book of just, again, don't show the frustration and the defeat, but you go into curiosity mode and you begin to ask questions, because when you start asking, and I get, real specific, and you start asking pointed questions, it will make them question of, okay, who might be the right agent, or maybe we shouldn't just settle on the first person that we talk with. So some examples, and I go, well, how does your spouse know this agent? I had a guy talking with him for 2-3 years at Luke Air Force Base, and he came to me and he goes, man, I gotta tell you, we're gonna finally listen to you. We're gonna buy a home, but my wife's got an agent, and I'm like, well, how does your wife know the agent? Well, it's her sister, and I'm like, well, okay, well, but and I'll finish that story.
Yeah.
But ask, has your spouse done business with them before? Have you done business with them before? What kind of track record do you have with them? Why is your spouse gravitating towards them? Where did your spouse find them? Was it on Zillow? Was it a personal referral? The more information that you get, the more that you know how to navigate the situation. What type of real estate do they specialize in? Do they specialize in military and VA products, which is, and so forth. And I always love, what is their experience level? Have you ever asked them how many homes have they sold? How many homes have they sold in that neighborhood? How many airmen or how many pilots have they sold homes to?
Yeah, this is probably right here. Two things. Number one, I love the phrase "stay in curiosity." Oh my gosh, that works at every aspect and every angle of your life. It really widens the gap between what you hear and what you respond to, and that's where intelligence is. That's where skill comes from. It's not what you say up front; it's how you handle the question. That's really what they're listening to. But these different things, I mean, none of these. Here's what I like about that, Mike. This is that second part of it. None of these are accusational or
Mm-mm.
challenging the other agent or saying that you're
Exactly.
better than them or anything. What it is you're getting the person to think. I love it.
Well, your goal in working with those that have met you or talking to you or in your sphere of influence is to allow them the best opportunity they have to have a successful transaction. That's our mindset as realtors. That's what this business will never be turned over to iBuyers, because human beings want to work with human beings that they trust and that are going to do the best for them. You're asking these questions because you're legitimately concerned the other person might not care about the people getting through the transaction. They might care more about the commission. So you're asking questions just so that you feel comfortable if they choose not to work with you to go speak to this other person. And it allows them to see that you truly do care. So even if this transaction doesn't go to you, the way you handle the conversation up front will still result in referrals if the transaction doesn't go as smoothly as the individuals wanted it to go.
And it doesn't have to happen. You're not necessarily, you want to solve the question today, but what's more important is you
Exactly.
plant the seeds in their head. So when they go back maybe to that other agent thinking that, oh yeah, we made our decision, we're not going to use Todd, we're going to use the other agent. And they go back there, that they now become cognizant of the differences, and they may turn around and come right back. You just don't know. You don't know when that seed's going to actually work. So
All right. So
yeah.
then what do you do next? And as I bring in the third point, this is something that our team has developed and I feel like perfected over the years. We're incredibly intentional about this line and how we get that appointment. And we
Wow.
are simply asking for a seat at the table. We are not asking to push out the other agent. We're not even asking for an appointment. We're not even asking for an interview. Todd, I just want a seat at the table. I want that opportunity. And sometimes that seat is on Zoom. And when you're asking for a seat at the table, it feels less threatening. It's more conversational. It's just an opportunity for us to talk. This is, and it appeals to their emotion. Like, I'm not asking for an appointment. I'm just simply asking just for an opportunity to sit down and have a conversation, seat around the kitchen table. So it appeals to the emotional side. I find people find it harder to decline. But as we started off, this is your opportunity. So you better bring your A game. So back to that pilot I was talking about. So we actually did that. I went through this process. I said, all right, I don't want to give out his name. I said, man, all I need is a seat at the table. I love the opportunity to hop on Zoom with you, and well, I wanted to do it in person, but I had to settle for Zoom for you and your spouse, and let's just talk about what we do and so forth. It was an hour plus long Zoom. The spouse was like, she was just really struggling with, okay, my sister has only done 2 deals, and Mike and Ryan obviously know what they're doing. And he told me for 2 weeks they tormented over this, and they had a lot of discussion. I'm like, listen, dude, I'm not here to send you to divorce court. So do what you need to do. And so at the end of the day, they went with the sister. And during the whole process, he called me because I had earmuffs because no broker wants to hear this, but I was like talking him through situations.
There's a difference, and you'll see it. It's on my market slides. If you go to the very last page, there's a difference between getting the appropriate information when you need it and the word advice. Advice comes from someone you have a contractual exclusive relationship from that is obligated to, to have your best interest at heart. When you deal with educational information, it's experience that maybe you're assisting. I understand what you're saying, Mike. You're using the phraseology that is, don't interfere with another agent's transaction. That's the part I totally want to make sure everybody understands. I'm not saying is a good idea either, but sometimes these people, you can provide some information and then they can go back and ask, and you're not going to damage the relationship. You're just going to make the person have more information to go back and satisfy whatever it is that they're thinking. And you become the person that everybody wants to do business with. He won't refer his sister-in-law anymore.
and again, that's the point. If you handle this the right way, if the transaction goes even okay, you were still there. You were the positive influence. You were there to help support if they needed it. You handled the conversation well. You did not put the commission in front of the person. So after the transaction closes, if and when they have friends, relatives, well, I guess not relatives, but friends that are around them, they're most likely going to refer you over, and you're not losing the relationship that you built because of one transaction, because you are a bigger thinker than one transaction. You think long term. One transaction is turned into multiple referrals, so it's okay to say goodbye to one to get others.
It's funny, the term seat at the table. I was using ChatGPT to walk me through the XRP, Ethereum, the whole Bitcoin crypto concept, and so it brought up a seat at the table, and I kept thinking to myself, well, I want to buy some Bitcoin. It's like, no, you don't. What you really, so anyway, it took me a little bit for me to wrap my head around this. And
I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around what you're saying right now, too.
All right. Well, I'm going to try to finish. No, thank you. But what came out of it was, well, wouldn't you like to have more advisors in making a decision? And I'm like, well, of course I want, talented information. He goes, that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about anything more than if you were going to make a decision, who are the advisors you'd like to have around you? And that's really what this means. It's kind of like, if you're going to go into a real estate transaction, let me put a bunch of people that are experienced around the table and let me learn from them so that I can do the best thing, the greatest possible thing I can do in my transaction.
Yeah. And I'll just end with this. This not only is it just for when the spouse has found another agent, this is when you're talking with anyone and they're talking with other agents. You're simply just asking for a seat at the table. This is one of the most important and most expensive decisions that you're going to make in your life outside of having children. Is it going to hurt having another voice at the table?
It can never hurt, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ever.
All right.
Yeah. Good.
Thanks, all right,
Mike.
appreciate it. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'm gonna head out just so that everybody doesn't, understands why we're gonna need a couple of microphones for the next segment. So.